Hello, welcome to Blooming Mindfulness. Today I thought it would be good for me to talk about a few things all together. In this episode, I have for you a real treat. So many of you have been asking me, how do you go about propagating the safest way? So one of the safest way to do it is air layering. So what is air layering? Air layering is basically before you chop the stem of the plant, you want to actually induce a root growth, all right, a root growth by wrapping a growth point of an aerial root with some moss. And what will happen is that the moisture of the sphagnum moss will actually cause it to grow the roots out. All right, so right now I will be showing you what plant I am going to chop. And for today's patient, we actually have with us a Monstera green on green. So without further ado, let's take a look at the chopping process. Alright, so over here I have with me my air layered G on G. So when you air layer your plant, it actually makes it a lot safer to cut, right? Rather than if you just cut straight away, there will not have any roots. So as you can see, when we zoom in to take a look, what I did was just to wrap sphagnum moss around a part that has roots that are ready to form. So I just want you to take a look at this part over here. This kind of roots are the best for air layering. So if you see something like this coming up, this is the best time to actually wrap some moist sphagnum moss, all right, with cellophane paper, secure it and keep it wet. So today it's time for us to harvest our hard work. I will show you how it will look like. So I have been air layering this particular root that I am undoing now for about 2 weeks. So let's see what we are working with today. Okay, so as you can see, okay, by air layering it, I have significantly grown quite a nice long root here. So this root will serve to be its new root when I do my cut over here. All right, so I will be cutting my plant here, all right, so that this 3 leaves over here will actually be a new cutting. So I have 1 leaf, 2 leaf, and 3 leaf. Alright, so now that we have removed all the moss for this particular part, we are going in with the knife. So I'm just going to chop over here because this is a top cut. Now when doing cuttings, you do want to leave a good portion of stem because sometimes the cutting will rot. So if you have the allowance, the internotal space, it is good to actually give it a bit more space. So instead of cutting here, I will cut further down so that if it starts to rot, I can just keep chopping away, chopping away, chopping away. So with a really sharp knife, okay, I will go ahead and just cut it down. Okay, just taking my time. If you have a surgeon scalpel, that is of course best. All right, so we made a very clean cut over here. Now what do we do with this after we have cut it? We will ideally seal it with some form of a paste or a wax. All right, and then some people may just air dry it, but the whole idea is we want to keep this away from any bacteria or infection. Hi, welcome back. We are back from the chopping process. So right here we have with us, I have a few chopping. This is the top cut of my Monstera green on green, the one that we've seen earlier. So as you can see over here, the white tip root, these are the kind that you would want to actually have. And I have a few more growth point coming up from the side, so this is really good. All right, I have with me another one over here. All right, so these are really good. Now they will look a bit dark depending on what solution you use. That's firstly. Secondly, I also realized that if they are aerial roots, they will also turn a bit dark. But as long as you have those white parts, white tips, all right, you are good to go. So what do we do after we have chopped our plant? Is we want to make sure that the wound is always sealed. So as mentioned in my video, you can seal it with some special paste that you can get off any online store. If you want to know what I use, you can private message me. No, I do not earn a single cent. I just want to share with everyone what are some of the good things that I use. So I would put a small amount and I would spread it to make sure that it is sealed up. Now I would do this usually at least for a good 2 coats, mainly making sure that I seal the sides as well. This is very important. All right, and I'm just going to let it dry for a moment. Okay, do not worry, at this process your plant will not die just because you actually have left it out in the open. Okay, so I just go ahead and I'll seal this as well. Do be generous. Now I have used other method of sealing before, such as using candle wax. That works as well. You just melt some wax and then you just dip the end of it. Okay. This paste actually you can find it on Taobao. It's very commonly used. Nothing fancy, right? So we'll set this one side to dry while we talk about something else. So once we have actually sealed the wound of our monstera, the next step will actually to be about propagating it in what type of media, right? So I would like to introduce to you my favorite media as of now. I have tried many types of propagation, but I can tell you nothing, absolutely nothing even come close to anything. The results I've gotten from Fluval Stratum is really amazing. I will be showing you some footage of the actual roots that I get, be it anthuriums, philodendrons. I have grown everything, practically all types of plants in stratum. You get those really thick, hairy roots, and that is what you want to see. White, thick ones. All right. I've even nursed back root rot, and root rot is really something that is difficult to come back from. Well, this stuff over here, it's magic. Not sponsored once again. Really tried and tested. This is amazing. Fluval Stratum. So today I'm going to show you my method of using Fluval Stratum. You do not have to follow my method. Everybody have their own preference, but this is what I do best. Now, so what I would do is I would first measure, all right? Take a container to measure to make sure that whatever I want to actually put in actually sits nicely in the container. Now, when you are rooting any form of monsteras or for any plants, where possible, you do really want to submerge, you really do not want to submerge the part that does not need to be submerged, which is mainly the stem. All right, but this part over here, if you actually surround it with media, it will grow into the media into new roots, and that is exactly what you want. And how do you know this is actually a good note to target on? If you put a little bit of water, it feels slimy to the touch, and that's because I believe there is some microscopic kind of like a hair thing, and that tells you that this root is an active forming aerial root, and this is the time that it will differentiate into a normal roots whereby it can absorb water. Because aerial roots, their primary purpose is not really for water absorption. It's more for securing and helping the plant to climb higher. to get more sunlight, the maximum amount of sunlight for maximum amount of photosynthesis. But however, for this one over here, if you were to bury it into a media, it would grow into it, right? So I'm just going to show you. So right over here, I found this container. The plan is that I would put it in like this, with this part, this part facing downwards, so it grows into the media, okay? And the root sits nicely over here. Now this part is absolutely not necessary, but I find it really helpful. In that is, if let's just say I put some straws. Now what do I do with these straws? So some of my friends have said, oh Chris, that's absolutely not necessary, but I personally find it really helps. So remember this, aeration is the key to healthy roots. So we really want to introduce this airflow into the media. So what I do with a straw like this is that I take a small scissors and I cut into it, just slits. So I just cut and cut and cut. Sorry if it's not focusing and you can't see. So I've got tiny little slits that I would just cut all the way down. And what I do is, before I put my fluval in, I will hold it down and I would pour a bottom layer, okay, with it buried in it. So sometimes I stick 2 to 3 in it, right? So this would just introduce some aeration into it. Now, so this is Fluval Stratum. I will do a close-up of it later. It is very loose, all right? It is nice because it's loose and the roots can grow into it. Even when it's wet, it actually maintains its structure as a round ball. Okay, so I'm just going to very quickly pour it in. Hi there, this is Voice Over Chris, bringing you to tour what exactly is stratum up close. So as promised, I just wanted to show you what is stratum up close, so that you can see for yourself. Right, so it's this volcanic soil that is, they have compressed it into really tiny pellets. All right, some people ask me, can this be reused? So far, my answer to you is yes, I have reused it successfully. It's just that do note that it will break down over time. So I wanted to show you a few things. Firstly, I wanted to show you up close what actually happened with my top cut. So as I told you, I want to bury this aerial root that is coming up. All right, so I can actually just go ahead and push my stratum higher up. When I put some water near there, it becomes a bit sticky and the pellets will actually stick around the roots, all right, helping it to root very quickly. Now, I also wanted to show you my success. So over here, I did this cutting about 2 weeks ago. This is actually my Brazilian Monmint. So over here, as you can see, the roots are doing very well. These are the kind of roots that you really want to be looking for. So white, nice, thick roots. Can we just take a moment to appreciate this? And how I go about watering this is that I would actually use a syringe to do it. So what we want is this kind of condensation. In fact, something a little drier would be ideal. You really do not want it to be too wet. If not, root rot will start to set in. So something like this, you're seeing white roots, your plants are healthy, that's great. So other success that we have, all right, so this is my floyo that I have. So let me just go to a brighter area so you're able to better see the roots. So they're all doing very well, very healthy, all right, very thick roots. And I have this condensation against the cup. So that's how I know that this plant is well watered. Now you really want to be careful not to over water it. And this is my anthurium, just to show you that it will work for most of your plants. Look at how thick this root is, and it's not done. it is still rooting. Now my guess is that because these pellets, they have a certain weight to it, so in order to burrow through, it will require some effort, and that's why the roots are a little thicker. Now how do I water and how much to water? I use a syringe. I put, for myself personally, I would put in some nutrient solution such as GT's foliage focus. I also mix in root zone, and I also use clonix, and of course our famous HB101. So I will go ahead and I will show you how I water. Now with a syringe, I will just slowly go around, okay, the plant. So I would check the bottom to see that, if the water has gone down. So you can actually see the water going down. Now it is extremely important to make sure that you do not overwater when it comes to Fluval Stratum. You do not want to have a whole level of ponding happening right at the bottom. So you can have a little bit, nothing more than a cm. So that's why I usually poke holes at the side as well. So some people may say it's unnecessary, but I think it really helps. So what I do, you may not be able to see it, is that I actually poke holes at the side of these plastic containers right down to the last 1 cm. Because sometimes the 1 cm helps to catch any extra water. Right, so this is what you have once I have poured in, and I'm going to just leave it standing like this so that you can see. So the aeration can happen throughout the pot. And what I'm going to do next is I will put my plant in very carefully. And then I just top it up with my Fluval Stratum. Okay. Right, something like so. Okay, just give me a minute. I need to top up a little bit more. Right, okay. So this is actually perfect because, as you can see, my roots are buried inside, but the part that is being cut is actually left exposed at the side. I will be topping off a little bit more such that this, sorry, I can't really show you. Yes, this growth point here is going to be buried by the media, okay, off camera. And then I have this tubes here that is just going to add as great aeration. So another tip that I want to show you is that I actually prop my leaves up using this amazing, simple idea, which is the use of a balloon stick. Now these balloon sticks are amazing because they have these grooves, right? Your plant just sits so amazingly into this groove, and you can cut to the length that you need. So what I would do is that if I need to prop anything up, I would just stick it into the pot, okay, and then I will just prop up whatever that I need to prop. I'll just show you real quick in a minute. Let me just measure and cut. And there you go. Okay, so you see, it's propping up really nicely. So this will hold my leaf in place while my plant grows. So put your new cutting into a bright, indirect sunlight. So as usual, I always say grow light is good for it. But however, grow light is not good for every single type of plant for other reasons, which I will share with you in my later videos. So I hope that you have learned something new today and you have a wonderful week ahead. So once again, Please like and subscribe. Alright, and to then, goodbye and happy planting.